So, my name is Regina Brown Wilson, and I am the Executive Director of California Black Media, which is a nonprofit that advocates for Black-owned media outlets. So important to say, Black-owned media outlets. And we work with most of all of the Black-owned media outlets throughout the state and provide content that looks at policy but infuses the issues that are happening, that real life issues that are happening in the African American community. And so I was asked today by Selena Pryor to help moderate the discussion for today, and I'm actually just honored to do anything she asked me to do. So of course I was going to do this. So one, I want to first just start by acknowledging Lynette Hall, who's here with us from the city. And I'll let her, I don't have her bio, but I would let her kind of introduce herself and kind of give us a little bit of background on what we are to expect tomorrow from the new changes around being able to kind of reopen. And I know that we've heard a little bit about the dialogue of what some of the restaurants are going through. So I think we will then head on to listening to our restaurant owners and operators who are on the call. And I think it's Zion, right? Zion, Queen of Sheba. And I believe, is there another one on the call who's also with another restaurant? I want to say, I can't see if it is, but if we have someone else, maybe allow them to kind of talk about their experiences. And while we wait for our county official to join us, we can then do some quick Q&As. So Lynette, we'll let you go ahead and take it from here.
Let me know if you can hear me. They said do I sound weird?
Perfect. It's good now.
Okay. So my name is Lynette Hall. I am the Community Engagement Manager for the City of Sacramento Office of Innovation and Economic Development. And it is a new position and kind of program that was created because the city realized that there was a real lack between the community and the government. And so I was kind of brought on. I'll be building a team around me. Before this, I was in the process of hiring 6 people to support community engagement, but really looking at engaging people in non-traditional manners. And so we're looking for not just outreach, but engagement. So not only informing and educating people about what's going on, but having them become a part of the process before it even starts. So how do we get our communities involved in the planning process? And so that's why my team was brought on. And so I just wanted to share a couple of things with you since we have some of the businesses on the line. A press release was just released today around distributing masks for businesses in Sacramento. We received 800,000 masks on Wednesday morning, and they are available now for pickup. If you are a business, Zion, I would refer you to the Greater Broadway PBID, and they have masks for you. For businesses that are not associated with a PBID, and let me just explain what a PBID is, because a lot of people don't realize what a PBID. I didn't know until 6 months ago. So a PBID is, and you'll hear that a lot when people from the city are talking, it's a property business improvement district. And these are primarily around our commercial corridors. So you'll see, you know, the Mac Road Partnership, the Florin Road Partnership, Del Paso Boulevard Partnership. And it's made up of property owners who will allocate a certain % of their property tax for issues that resonate with their businesses and their properties. So for instance, they might use a part of their property tax for graffiti removal or for added security for their businesses. And so I encourage businesses, they're funded, the city supports them. And so I encourage businesses, if you're located along one of the commercial corridors, to connect with them. If you know any business that is not, and they need masks for their employees, the masks are for employees, not customers. They can call 311, and 311 will refer them to the nearest community center where they can pick up their mask. And so it's a one-time allocation, first come, first serve. So I really, really encourage you all to get out in the next couple of days with the mask. And I'll just stop from there. I come from a small business kind of background. I was managing supplier diversity for PG&E. And before that, I was managing the small business DBBE program for CalPERS.
And I know that we're going to talk a little bit about, and I don't know how comfortable you feel it's about talking, Lynette, about what we can expect with the announcement of the county saying, hey, we can open back up. We want people to come in and visit the restaurants. Can you explain how we're moving further into that phase 2 of reopening California? If you don't have the text, let me know and I can read it, but
No, so no, I don't. I won't speak to that. I will let the county. So I want to clarify that the city does not decide when businesses will reopen. So I will defer to the county on that. However, I will say that we are working in collaboration with the county just to figure out how does that look for the businesses that are in the city. But anything regarding the guidelines and the requirements, those are all county requirements, not city requirements.
and so
Are we officially okay to open tomorrow though? Because we haven't had anything from the county, from health department, anything at all. They just
So what
say,
I'll do is I will read the press release. I know that we'll do a quick question. So Angela asked, can they go directly to the nearest community center, or is it necessary to call 311 first?
So I would call 311 first. It's not all community centers. I know Coloma, there's 3 community centers, South Natomas, Coloma, and there's one other. So it's not all community centers. So if you call 311, they'll let you know exactly which center. You can pick up, you don't have to have an appointment between, I think, 8 and 10 o'clock in the morning. And then you can also make an appointment between 10 and 7 p.m. to pick up at those 3 community centers.
So I will go ahead and I will just, while we're waiting, obviously, for the county, I will read what the county has put out, at least so that everybody on the call knows that Sacramento County has been given the go-ahead to move further into stage 2 of California's resilience roadmap. Businesses that are allowed to resume operations may do so upon the amendment of Sacramento County's public health order, which will happen on or before May 22nd. So obviously we'll need the county to kind of tell us, but we're assuming, it sounds like from the news reports, it sounds like that's what's happening. Sacramento have made a case through written documents that California Department of Public Health and the county should increase the pace at which it can advance through stage 2 ahead of the state's public health order. The county's reopening plan differs slightly from the state's resilience roadmap in Sacramento County. So they're saying that religious services and special ceremonies such as graduations can be drive-through only. Outdoor gatherings such as weddings, funerals, and family gatherings can have a maximum of 10 people with strict social distancing. And businesses that are allowed to resume operations upon implementing the state's reopening guidance will include dine-in restaurants, which is why we're here today. And the CDPH has prepared guidelines and a checklist document to create safer environments for workers and customers that will open up in other categories, including small offices, reopen where telework is not possible, childcare and daycare, family daycare, open door gyms, outdoor museums, art galleries, and theaters. Full public transportation, micro enterprise, retails, and storefront, which means 10 employees or less, may reopen. So if that helps to kind of set the stage of where we are and why we're still waiting for the county to be able to answer any other questions we might have, I was thinking maybe we should move to our small businesses, our small restaurants who are on the call to kind of hear about what they are experiencing with all of the changes and the fast pace moving, and what challenges you still face and what support you might still need. So Zion, do you want to go first?
Yeah, for us, like I was saying, it's just confusing. Do we have 20 people? Do we have 10 people? And how do we control that? So, it's just so confusing going on. So we're trying to be ready tomorrow and see what they say. How many people can we have? So if they say 20 people, imagine 40, 60 people turn up. How do we, navigate all those things? So it's just I'm really confused. I don't know how we're just gonna navigate through how we've been
Right.
navigating through just to survive this thing. But it's not clear still to me.
Okay. I believe Kimberly is having issues with your, does it say that you're unable and unsure on the call? I'm not sure what that means.
I would like to, I have this document from the county, and it has venue-specific guidance. And for restaurants, it says that they're to reduce capacity and the tables have to be at least 6 feet apart. Household members only can dine together. Staff can have to wear face coverings. They have to have disposable menus. And other standard restrictions like prefer no cash, frequently clean high contact services, and remain 6 feet apart. And Kimberly, I unmuted because I had a mass muting going on, but you should be able to chime in now. Kimberly, can you hear us?
And I may add on what you were saying too, while Kimberly's coming in. You know, I know they say, you know, the distance and family only, but I'd rather honestly, they just leave it alone until they say we can just open it fully, because it's just gonna cause so much confusing for myself, for my employee. I mean, who you gonna know, the family, how are you gonna navigate all that? And you know, people are just, especially right now, they're already crowding us just with the to-go and delivery service. And for them to expect us to just navigate through only 20 and then distance the tables and just only family, how do we know? I mean, it's going to be a little bit confusing again for the next few weeks. But instead, I would have rather just say, okay, maybe wait another week or two, and then we just fully open it. Because in that way, it's not confusing. People are going to be like, especially at my restaurant, because a lot of people are vegetarian and vegan. They don't know where to find foods like that somewhere else. They're going to be crowding me once it opens. But are we going to be liable on that? It's just, well, I'm just praying that, you know, everything, you know, goes smoothly, but, you know, we'll see.
Okay. I know, Kimberly, just so you know, we're still trying to unmute you. We are seeing, I see from my end that your microphone is unmuted. So maybe check your audio sound and turn up your volume just in case. I know I often do that, just to check. And while we're still, like I said, waiting for the county health officer, thanks for sharing that with us and you know, letting us know, you know, the challenges that you're still facing. We're you know, happy that you're still able to have this issue. I mean, it's, all of us are facing something, but it's great that you you know, that you're still, you know, finding your way through this time. And I know it's not easy, but really good to see that you are still surviving through this. It's going to make us all stronger, and obviously we're all going to have great stories to tell after we get through this. So I think right now, why don't we open it up to some questions? And I know, Angela, you were I'm sorry, Selena, I'm not sure if she was on the agenda or not. I can't remember. But Angela, I know with Max Reach, I know that you were trying to say something earlier. So let me go ahead and turn the floor over to you.
Oh, the doctor's here.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll hold that for 1 second. Our county health officer is going to be on.
The information on the mask are in the chat. So it's Belle Coolidge Community, Coloma, and South Natomas.
Hey, Selena.
Hi, how are you today?
I'm sorry. I had it as 5:22, not 5:21. My fault.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
No,
Sorry
my
about
fault.
that.
My fault.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. We've been having a discussion, and I read off. My name is Regina Wilson, just so you know. But we've
Hi.
kind of started, and we said let's welcome the doctor whenever he joins us as our special. How do I say your last name? Beilenson.
Beilenson.
Beilenson. Dr. Peter Beilenson from the Health and Services Director for the County of Sacramento. We have community leaders, the city represented on this call, and small restaurants on this call as well, trying to really understand, what tomorrow will look like and what it will mean, and how they will navigate through our new normal for the moment.
Yeah.
And so we would love for you to be able to, allow us to understand what the new normal will look like tomorrow.
Sure. So we're going to do our health order tomorrow by noon, which will mean that we can open up the restaurants as of 12:01 p.m. So you can be open for Memorial Day weekend, starting Friday at lunchtime. And the bottom line is the restrictions are sort of the following general restrictions. There's actually a 12-page guidance which we'll post to restaurants, but effectively they're basically 6 or 7 different things. Number one is social distancing between the tables. We're not coming back with a specific capacity reduction, but rather just a general 6 feet between the tabletops. Importantly, tables are only allowed to be used by families that are nuclear families or a family constellation that has been staying at home together. So, in other words, your uncle from Omaha can't join you at the table. Thirdly, all cooks should be wearing face coverings and or masks. People at the tables should be discarding menus after they're used. Or use paper menus, for example, instead of plastic covered menus. And you should ask about symptoms at the door of your patrons, and I can give you what symptoms you can ask for. You do not need to take you do not need to take a temperature. You can if you want, but you don't have to.
So you're just basically asking the questions.
Correct.
And so are you going to provide the restaurants with questions that they should ask?
They're in this guidance, but the basic ones are shortness of breath, fever, and fatigue.
And so what happens if someone lies to you and says, yeah, I'm not feeling like that?
Yeah, it's on them. You're not liable. The one thing that would be important to point out is, and I know you represent a whole range of restaurants and eateries, is you need to have 6 feet between people waiting in line as well. So one thing that you can do if it's busy is have people wait in the car and get called in as their table is ready. I can tell you, unfortunately, well, fortunately or unfortunately, but probably unfortunately, the uptake of restaurants has been relatively small in the first week in other places in the country, like 10 to 20% of what it normally is. So it may not be that hard initially to space people out, but it will eventually probably become more of an issue. So those are the basic guidelines.
And how and will restaurants be responsible for making sure that these nuclear families are the ones that are attending? Because I think Zion said that she was like, how will I be able to judge? How will my employees be able to judge if you say, a roommate situation, we've been staying in the same house, or they say
right.
that. Right?
Well, 2 things. Number one, you can check licenses. So if someone's in the same, usually they'll have the same address. Obviously, if the kids, you just assume will go with the family. But besides that, it's on the family. It's not on you. There's not going to be legal enforceable action against a restaurant that unknowingly seats a family that doesn't have the right family member.
Okay. Well, great. I think if we wanted to open this up for questions, I think
sure.
if anybody has any clarifications, does anyone have, I will go to Angela. You said you don't have anything else to add, but maybe you do now.
But I have a question for Peter, since
Yes.
I have a restaurant. My worry is that, it's just gonna be so confusing, especially when people have been told to stay at home this long, and now they can dine at the restaurant, and they could be, we don't know how to expect. They could be, especially on the weekends. I wish it was on a Monday or something, which it would have been even better. But like right now with Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we're not prepared in a way that if mass people come in, how do we, I know we try to put our table 6 feet distance, but even to be able to, navigate through the questions and, all that, it's just going to be a little bit confusing. But how many people are we allowed? As long as the table is 6 feet, how many people are allowed in the restaurant dining inside and
Well,
outside the restaurant?
it actually is based on the amount of space. So
Okay.
rather than saying 50% or 33% or something, we're saying you got to have at least 6 feet around each table,
Mhm.
whatever that capacity is for you. And I will say that we actually try to make this available for the weekend, specifically because people wanted to have the restaurants open on Memorial Day weekend. But if you don't want to open, you can obviously keep it closed till Monday or something.
Yeah.
We had a lot of people requesting that we move more quickly on the restaurant opening and make it Friday rather than Monday, because they wanted to have the availability of Memorial Day weekend. But you obviously don't have to open.
And so with those and with those recommendations and guidelines that you'll post tomorrow, it'll probably explicitly say that these are what we're suggesting and we want everyone to do, but there are no
Yes.
ramifications if they don't. Like
Right.
These restaurants are not going to have health inspectors come in and say, did somebody moved your table? Did you take a ruler and you were less than 6 feet apart? I mean,
Right.
obviously you want to make sure that you're trying to do it, but you're not.
Right.
No one's going to come down on with a hammer on them saying, you let a family in here that said that they were apart, but they weren't.
No. So a couple of things. First of all, we've been doing this for the last 6 weeks when we've had these other health officer orders where we have people call 311 to complain or to say good things or to whatever about a variety of places. Like, a tattoo place is open illegally. 43 people are playing soccer in the park at El Camino High School, et cetera, et cetera. And what we do, and I get these every week, there are hundreds of them. And so anytime there's more than 3 complaints about a place, we send out a code enforcement person, not the sheriff, not the police. I'm the code enforcement, and they've been educating people as to what is the appropriate way of doing this or doing things. So my point being that we may have, if there's a restaurant that has all of the tables jammed up against each other, I'm just making it up, and we get a call to our 311 line from 7 different people that this restaurant is doing this, then we will send out a code enforcement person to educate not to prosecute and not to arrest, but to educate the place to make sure that they know what the rules are.
Right.
But so far, literally, we've had probably a couple thousand calls in the last few weeks. I don't think there's been any enforcement action at all. It's been educational.
So one of our participants on the call has asked a question: is the county doing anything to help restaurants accommodate outdoor seatings as the city is doing?
Yes. In fact, the county passed the Board of Supervisors passed the emergency legislation on Tuesday that allows for all the unincorporated areas to do exactly what the city is doing.
Okay. And then the follow-up to that question was, can restaurants request an educator to help them come set up today and tomorrow? So I'm assuming, will you guys have the team or staff, or do they have to kind of figure it out on their own?
Unfortunately, our public health staff is just totally stuffed. And I would like to be able to say yes, but I just can't right now.
Okay.
So the answer is probably no.
Okay.
However, we're looking at getting a cohort of maybe 50 people kind of as community navigators, as we reopen variety of types of services and sectors to help educate people on how to do it. Exactly what this was, your question just was. If we had a little bit more time, we would do that with restaurants as well. But right now, since we're opening them on Friday, we don't have enough time to do that.
Okay, great. Well, Selena, do you have any more? I can turn it over to you.
I don't have any more questions. Does anybody else have any more questions? Kimberly, we still haven't been able to hear from you. But if you have a question, we really want to get it in. So if you're unable to mute, and I did unmute everybody, it says everybody's unmuted. So if you have a question, Kim, please ask it or type it in the chat if we're unable to hear you. And then once we get Kimberly's questions, if she has any, then we'll go to Ray.
I think there's one other question, and I think he just answered it. Maybe it came in as you were answering it about the trainer. So
Yeah.
I think that's what you just kind of mentioned, that you're trying to look at a train the trainer model so that restaurants would have someone to be able to explain to them, hey,
Right.
6 feet apart, this is the best kind of standard way
Right.
to do it. Okay.
And other sectors as well as they come online in the next few months.
Okay. And so who did you just say, Selena, was, I was going to turn.
And then Ray, if Kimberly has a question.
I don't see one in the chat box, but I can go to Ray just to save us a waiting time and let Ray go ahead, and I'll wait to see if Kimberly has a call or not. Okay, maybe a question.
Hey, Dr. B. It's good to see you here, man.
Hey.
So I was wondering if the county is going to post these guidelines on their website so that they're printable.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes. We're going to print them. We'll post them the next day or so. I would like to post them today, but because we technically can't legally open restaurants, we have to wait till Friday noon, and they'll be part of the posting.
Perfect. Thank you. That's all I had. I just wanted to make sure that we can get the information out. So if people don't know, we can just get it out to them.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Great. We just had one other restaurant owner who I asked her to type her email. I asked her to type her question because for some reason her mic won't work. But I know that she says, thank you for the opportunity. We appreciate it. Yeah. I don't know which restaurant though she is a part of, but I don't know if she'll put that in the box. But Selena, I think that
House of Chicken and Ribs.
Okay.
Oh, right.
House of Chicken and Ribs.
Yeah.
All right.
That sounds good.
I know, like right now, breakfast.
Yeah.
Oh man, I kind of want to eat that right now. Look at, drop your link right in the bottom of the chat. Anyway, I want to thank everyone for taking the time, and you, Doctor, for taking the time to come and talk.
And again, I'm really sorry I came in late. I meant to be here.
Yeah, no, thank you. We know that you are probably on every channel, and we know that you're being stretched in every different direction. So I want to thank you on the behalf of the Black Small Business Association. Did I say that right, Celine? Did I get that right? Okay, good. The Black Small Business Association for taking the time to come talk to our small Black businesses, our restaurant owners, helping them understand better what needs to happen, and then, working with Selena to make sure that the other restaurants that didn't get to join us today or this morning, they'll be able to spread this message and make sure that we're hopefully doing the public education that we need to do on our part so that they can have a safe opening.
I have a quick question too.
Question. Go ahead.
Peter, my question, my name is Angie Wiggins. I'm with Maximum Reach for Economic Equity. I'm interested to get involved with the Train the Trainer program as soon as possible. I'd love to see us get some people, feet on the ground, who can get out to the restaurants and help the restaurant owner, facilitate the changes that need to happen. Yeah. Is there any way that we can be more in touch with that and stay up on when that's going to be available and maybe even expedite the making that happen? Is there anything we can do to help make that happen any quicker?
Yes. So first of all, and to get to Regina's point, I know to Ray, raised question, we'll post the stuff on as soon as possible. Secondly, on terms of this, I proposed this cohort of people as trainers, not just for the restaurants, but for all business sectors as they come online to the county, and I'm hopeful to get it approved shortly. The idea is to get people who have lost their job or have been laid off or whatever, to get them 6 months worth of employment, because we think this will be, I'm not trying to I don't want to overpromise and underdeliver. So I'm hoping that this happens, but we're hopeful to get 50 to 100 people to be paid livable wage or a little bit above livable wage. And the idea is to get people who have lost their job and who may have worked in one of these areas and have them be the trainers. So, and if you could send me to PL Beilenson. Selena has my email, right, Selena? Yeah. If you could send your name just as a potential connection, that'd be great, and we'll work from there.
My question is that does that take a county action? So is it something that the county, like when they're meeting, they need to vote on? Or
no, it's a policy, because it would cost money. We'd want to pay the people, obviously, but the COVID money that's coming in, this clearly fits COVID. I mean, it's 100% COVID related,
right?
And so we think we can get the funding for it. It's actually, my wife proposed this a couple of days ago, and I've been trying to push it with the county. So hopefully that'll happen. But again, I don't want to overpromise that it's going to happen for sure, but I want to get it moving right away if we can. So if you have any suggestions of people who would be interested in helping out, that'd be great.
Do you think that it will be helpful to have the Small Black Business Association send a letter?
Yes,
to our county supervisors and our CEO. CEO.
Yes.
They say we need this. Okay.
Yes, and I've been working with the Sierra Health Foundation as well. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, great.
Yes.
Oh, no worries. You're a busy man.
Right.
So, Regina, I think that you touched on what was on my mind, but I had a hard time hearing. And first of all, I absolutely appreciate all that you're doing, Peter. Particularly, I think this is a great idea, getting some people to work, and I think it's a great idea reaching out. And I think Regina hit on this. Let me know if you did. My concern is that obviously larger restaurants are going to be able to jump on the requirements and get things rolling almost immediately because they have the space and they have the staff and everything. So my concern obviously is with the very small, the micro businesses being behind the curve on the timeline. Is that kind of what you were just talking about, Regina, with making sure that we're able to get the information to these smaller restaurants as quickly as possible?
Yes, and I think what he's saying is I wanted to know what chain needed to happen, but I think Max Reach would send a letter. I think that the Small Black Business Association could send a letter, and I would be more than happy on behalf of California Black Media to sign on or do my own letter to the County Board of Supervisors, as well as to the CAO, who has to approve a policy change like that, to say this is why this is so important, and it's a smart use of the COVID dollar resources to make sure our businesses can get back to work, and also employing people who've been out. So
right.
I think that just being able to make those points and us sending it to those folks and making sure, like he said, all the different sectors that actually need this, because it's not just, we don't want people calling and saying, oh, this barber started or so-and-so, it's going to help him stop fielding how many calls they're even going to have.
But it also allows us when the barbers and hair salons start up in another week or so, the next phase, another couple months, they're going to have similar questions to ask about what they can do and what requirements there are. And so I want this cohort of trainers to train not just restaurateurs, but salon owners and other things as they come online. That's why we're hopeful to have this to work for 6 months, because it'll be a 6-month period to have these business up and going.
And Peter, the question I have, let's say customer coming to my restaurant, do they still have to have their mask on to sit and dine?
No, not to dine. While they're waiting, yes. While they're dining, no, because obviously you can't stick food in your mouth.
I mean, all the time they can. Is there any requirement?
No, they can take
their mask on. They can take that off.
Correct. At the table.
No.
So I just wanted to thank you, Dr. Beilenson, much for taking the time to come and talk to us. I want to thank the Small Black Business Association, as well as all of our participants and restaurants that were joined us this morning to learn about this. We will be patiently waiting for that information to be uploaded tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then we will also do our part to make sure that we help with that policy change and write the letters necessary to ask for that policy change that you're requesting.
That'd be great.
And so thank you so much for taking the time today. And with that, I would like to just close out so we can let everybody else get on with the day.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you,
Thank
Peter.
you. Thank you.